says Gorin has been soliciting individuals, and that would be referring to the, going around to see who all would like to have us respond to them instead, rather than, or with Memphis, or rather than Memphis. And then solicit also says we have been soliciting individuals and businesses within Scotland County's legally defined boundaries. I guess that is the main complaint. But also says that we shall desist, that now, on this paper, it says we shall immediately cease and desist from engaging in any prohibited conduct. And at this point, we're still under that verbal agreement. We were never told that we shall not quit. So that's going to have to be changed before we can. But anyway, we were trying to decide what we shall do. I guess the meeting tonight is to discuss what we should do from here.
At the top of that, it is actually.
Yeah, this paper does not say, this, I can read it all. I, the undersigned, express my request for the Gorin Fire Department to be primary response fire and rescue agency to the address below. Furthermore, I do testify that I have not been coerced, bribed, pressured into signing this request, and I have done it at my own will. And we have this is one paper, we have another one too, 3 papers of all, and these are all, I guess they most of them would probably be north of, in the contested area.
That is all north of the boundary area that they offered to us. So that does not even come down to Route E, where they have their current boundary line.
And that other area would be 451, right? That railroad.
Yes, west of County Road 451. So there is members up there that we did not talk to because we were under the impression that they were willing to give us that area. Which, with this letter now, that's all gone.
Anybody that doesn't know, I guess our mindset on this was the closest fire department should be able to respond to the emergency or the medical emergency, rescue, fire, anything. And I started fighting fire here in '98. I think the department, maybe many of you know this, started in '82 or '81. Scotland County started in 1961, and the way I understand it, they basically covered the entire county. Well, now, as Gorin grew, I think they kind of eased up on some of those boundaries. But we feel it's, I mean, when we're 6 miles from the Arbela Four Corners, Scotland County's like 8 miles. Why can't, I mean, shouldn't the closest department respond, is I guess is what we were shooting for on this. And provide the community and the county with the best and quickest emergency response. So with this too, this isn't only the fire side of things, this is also our first responders, our medical first responders. I live in the city of Arbela. I've got a boy that lives a few miles north of Arbela. We're both first responders, but legally, we can't help the people in our town. If there's a lady having a heart attack, or there's a car accident, legally we cannot go help those people. We have to wait for the ambulance to get there. I personally, I can't even see why this is even an issue. Why is it not the best interest of the community? Obviously, Scotland County doesn't have that in mind. So that's kind of where this is boiled up from, and why we're pushing so hard to get this. So, yes, sir.
I thought Missouri had a good Samaritan law where that doesn't come into effect.
I don't know how that works for trained people, for lack of a better term. Our first responders actually went to school to become that. And that, we're affiliated with a firehouse, so I think that, I don't know if that eliminates us from that or how that works.
That's the spot where it starts to split hairs and become concerning,
Yeah.
because that's right where that is on the cusp.
I see.
But
I
I'm
don't-
not an attorney, that's just for researching it.
I don't live in this county, but I'm a member. I pay dues into this fire department for better coverage for me. How's that gonna affect me in Clark County?
As long as Clark County, or as long as Wyconda hasn't filed their boundary lines,
Oh, I'm on the board, no.
we can still come over there. The other option is a mutual aid agreement.
Okay, that's Missouri, that's just a Missouri thing, a mutual aid.
It's, as far as I know, it's more than just Missouri.
Because-
It's kinda,
Because you guys have a lot better turnout here than Wyconda does, because there's just not as many people available to work, to fight the fire like you guys did. And you guys always came on mutual aid. I don't see what's the big deal? What's Memphis throwing a fit for?
We've even offered that, can we at least be put on an automatic mutual aid agreement for that area? We don't get any dues from it,
Right,
we just wanna go fight fire, we wanna help people.
right.
They won't do that anymore.
Who won't?
Scotland County Fire, am I right, Chief?
they haven't yet.
They haven't yet, okay, I apologize, they haven't yet.
That's the reason I paid the dues into here, because I expect the mutual aid and trying to help out.
So what does Scotland County gain? Is it because they're after funding, they want to build a new firehouse, they're making their district larger for dues, to show more coverage for grant purposes?
We're not 100% sure.
Without asking them outright, we don't really know for sure. Some of the, in the discussions, it keeps coming back, it keeps coming up that, well, at one time, they covered the whole county. So that makes me think that they feel we're taking their area.
Yeah, Gorin did have a fire department, not a very good one, but we had one before this was formed. If the garage was closed, the fire department was closed because that's where the phone was. I know my daughter's car burned over here because we couldn't get anybody to put it out. But we did have a fire engine and a fire department.
The assumption would have to be that it's about money.
Absolutely.
The assumption would have to be. There couldn't be any other reason.
One of the other reasons they push is, well, they can get there faster because they can drive 90 to 100 on Highway 136. They can get there quick.
How does that help me across the railroad track?
Especially when the train's sitting in the middle of them?
That's a whole other meeting.
Well, how does that help our Beulah then? I mean, because you got two first responders that's not even allowed to help out when they're right there. I mean, minutes count.
That is another thing that we don't know for sure. We have a MOU, memorandum of understanding, that we will provide that service to them, to that area for almost 3 months now, and we have not heard anything, and they do not provide that service.
I mean, that would have to go back to funding and money. I mean, there's an issue somewhere.
And not caring about this end of the county too. That's kind of they don't care about this end of the county, that's kind of been universal forever. Anybody that's lived here for long enough to see how it works.
They're forcing you guys to do this,
Yes.
and you don't?
They're forcing. Is this something that will go to a judge to determine? Or has the judge already determined?
It's just civil, it's not criminal.
I think we would have, 30 days?
We have 10 days to reply to this letter saying that we will comply, or they will take all needed actions to protect their boundary area.
Let them take their action.
I think so too.
Let judge decide that if you get there to help someone, that you can get there to help someone. You're not pointing it out that it's money, and it's obvious that it's about money for them. Very obvious. So,
Or
let them
just
take it.
power. You just want the power.
Also, doesn't this kind of come under the right to petition, which the Constitution gives you?
It might not. Let me explain a little bit how this come on about. In 2002, the state of Missouri passed a law stating that all fire departments have to file their boundary lines with the commissioners. We didn't find out about that law until late 25, early 26. I've been at several meetings where the mutual aid coordinator of the fire marshal's office was. He kept getting after me. Hey, you need to get this done. You need to get this done. I kept pushing it off, thinking it wasn't that important. I finally decided, hey, I might as well do what he wants me to do and get this done. So I approached the commissioners and I asked them if anybody had filed boundary lines. I was told in the county, in Scotland County. I was told no. So I said, okay, I will get my boundary lines together and I will bring them up. So I did that. They refused them. Told me that they need to talk to the rest of the fire departments. Whatever. I said, I'm just doing what state law requires. The next day, they called me and said they found back in 22 where Scotland County had filed their boundary lines. So I called the fire marshal's office and I said, hey, I don't know what to do anymore. I want you to come up and tell the board what we can do, what we can't. So we had a meeting. April, I believe it was. And I came up there. The day after I think it was the day after I set this meeting up, somebody from Scotland County called down there, for what reason, I don't know. And the fire marshal told them that he's coming up for a meeting, why don't you just come down too? So we all got together. Fire marshal explained what the laws were and what he would expect to see happen. And that is the closest department with the appropriate personnel and equipment to respond to this incident if he has something happen in Scotland County. So this brought on the mediation meeting. And like John said, the last meeting we were asked if we talked to the public. So we took that as a incentive that they want us to do this. So that's exactly what we did. This is what we get in return.
But their comment was they could drive 90 to 100 miles an hour to get to a place.
Yeah.
And if you're on your way and they're driving 90 to 100 miles an hour and they kill someone along the way, you'll get to that person that they were going to much quicker because there's a carload of people dead because they've gone way beyond where they should go. I think you should take it, let them file it, and present it. There's no reason why you can't go to a place. If there's a problem with one or the other, someone's still along the way. And you're not against that, am I correct?
No, I'm not against that.
And if they have boundary lines, were the boundary lines initially put in order to keep one from the other, or were the boundary lines put in to be sure there was continuous coverage everywhere? That's one of the questions that should be asked, because that's what it would be. It wouldn't be to keep someone else out. It would be to assure that there's coverage everywhere. And if there isn't, to pursue coverage for that area. Am I wrong? It makes sense.
And as Gorin grew, with the firefighters, the equipment we have, the boundary should have receded from Scotland County to Gorin, because we're closer, we've got the equipment, we've got the manpower to handle it,
And the training.
and the training.
And the
Did the
tankers.
fire marshal think that was the right approach to that one meeting?
As far as
When the
Who
fire
could get there
marshal was
first,
there.
should get there.
Yeah, that's what I would gather, that his thought process was that, you know, the department can get there the quick.
I couldn't hear in the beginning, do you guys want to go to a tax base
No,
instead of membership?
no.
Does Memphis want to go to tax base?
That makes you wonder.
They want to go to tax base fraud and
Now, the city, it's a city tax base.
Yes,
They don't pay a membership. It's
Right.
on tax. That's what it should have been, yeah. Do you have a city trust?
no.
Do you pay for the rural fire department's trucks and maintenance? or-
Oh. We're just tax-based.
They pass the tax, they
Yeah.
pass the taxes that they gather from the fire department on to us.
Yeah.
You're not going to be taxed, you're going to be a member.
Outside the city.
Right.
Outside of city, that's okay.
I mean, I'm not gonna say that's not a possibility, but on down the road, but
There's a reason that
Membership duties you have, you do not become taxpayer. Yeah, your hands are tied.
There's a reason that in bigger cities, the fire department, the ambulance, they have trained people, paramedics, 4 people. They don't, fire department doesn't get there and say, well, the ambulance is on the way. Someone's there to help someone. It's the same thing. It's just from 2 different areas. This is obviously about money and how they can get more money. It isn't about caring about the coverage of the people and the people. And they drive 90 to 100 miles an hour to get to somewhere, which,
But Memphis Fire is only fire, correct?
yes.
They can do rescue as far as extrication from cars, but they.
Yes, but they don't respond to anything but fire and accidents.
Right.
so who do they send for heart attack?
Yeah, well,
Ambulance crew.
to get there.
Ambulance, they
Yeah.
wait for an ambulance.
Yes.
Bigger cities have the coverage. You guys obviously have that.
Yeah, first responders here are excellent.
You may do it.
Where we have somebody on site in sometimes 3 to 5 minutes, they wait on an ambulance 20 or 30 minutes sometimes in rural parts of, well, they don't want you to go past the Etna Road at Ronnie Boyer's house. I mean, that's 3 miles.
3.9, I just measured it.
Yeah.
We have to wait for an ambulance to get here, probably 12 to 13 miles.
What, and do we have 4 ambulances in the county?
We keep 2 trucks staffed at all times. Most days we have the ability to staff the 3rd and maybe the 4th.
And a lot of times they're both out. I know some days they are, which means it might not be 30 minutes. It might be longer.
But isn't there also an issue that Memphis don't have any good tankers? And a lot of these farms, there is no fire hydrant.
That would be-
and there's not a pond close either.
My big concern, if, our first responders aren't going to get dispatched to 4 miles from us.
I would try to take all this information, be as prepared as you can, let them take it to their next step. In fact, let them know they take it to their next step.
Our biggest concern is we still have memberships to provide for. How much money is it gonna cost? We don't wanna deplete our funds, because then we can't protect what we got. Is the community gonna support us?
Where do you get your money?
That goes back to, can the city help out with this?
So, but where's?
No.
Our funding comes from
Yeah,
memberships,
okay,
fundraisers,
yeah.
and grants. And we do a little bit of CRP burning off. That brings a little bit in.
got donations.
That's fundraising.
Yeah,
We need
fundraising.
donations otherwise also.
Right, yeah. True.
Donations.
That, the yearly dinner, am I correct, it's yearly?
We have 4 fundraisers.
You have 4?
We have one in January, an auction and a soup supper. We have one in May, which is a chicken barbecue. We have one in either August or September, which is an ice cream pie social. And then we have one in September or October, and the one we have the ice cream social is another chicken barbecue.
All pretty much right here?
Yeah.
Everything's right here.
Everything's right here?
Well,
Well, our soup supper's up in the school. It's all in town.
It's in town. Advertise out of town. Go to Memphis, advertise out.
We do, I mean, we advertise, we have.
Well, the auction, you have how many people show up to it? I mean, it's a big.
yeah, it's a very big thing.
And that's our biggest fundraiser.
That's your biggest fundraiser, is
And we have people coming from,
the convenience. I mean,
I think the problem is they have a letter that requires, they've been given 10 days to respond. If they choose to not respond, county does what, Memphis does what it wants, and then the next step is for Gorin to sue them, which is lawyers and court cases and court costs and all that stuff, where they're trying to find something that the community can agree on today about, are there any clever ideas about mutual aids or the, and I think you guys in the previous meeting tried really hard to fish out much of that. That's the problem is, who knows how many tens of thousands of dollars would go into a court case that will go for a year, with folks on the line not knowing who's coming. I guess Memphis be caught, but
and at this point in time.
that's the problem tonight.
We have no other option but to refuse to go, to stay inside. We have no other option but to refuse to go outside of our lines unless we want litigation.
So, if we were to ask their board members if their home sit on this imaginary boundary that they created in 2022 and didn't let anybody else know about it, that they finally unearthed after being asked about it, and said if your home is sitting at Ronnie Boyer's, what would you expect to happen? You know, asking the Scotland County first responders, like, is that cool with you? That you can see help right across the fence, but that's where the line is, and that's in our backyard, but yet they wanna come all the way from a whole nother part of the county. I mean, it doesn't make sense. There's a lot going on behind it, I'm sure. And I don't know how we can maybe get all the parties to come together and maybe have a little input from Rutledge. I don't know how they're affected with it. Have the county commissioners sit down and say, we gotta play nice here. We're not gonna have the infrastructure that we have worked so hard to have. And I think they've just, multiple things continue to happen in our county, and Gorin just gets mowed over time and time again. And it's ridiculous when we have great volunteers, you're trained well, you have nice equipment, and you continue to advocate for your community. And then they just pull this imaginary paperwork finally out of the air.
It's not imaginary.
It's not, but it's funny how it just shows up all of a sudden when there's something obviously that they're wanting to do, if that doesn't happen.
To answer your question about asking the board members, in our, I don't remember if it was the last discussion or if it was the one before that, I put Charles Stevenson's house as right north of the line where they offered to give us. I said, how can you think it's the best interest of the community for you to be responding to his house when you're 10 miles away and we are 5 miles away?
And what was their response?
I don't recall word for word, but they did not want to admit that it would be better for us to respond.
So common sense will not prevail, in other words.
But it goes back to with Memphis, you don't pay your fire dues, they just sit there and watch it burn. Where our guys come in, it don't matter if your fire dues are paid, we're gonna help the people and put the fire out.
We're not charging.
The majority of first responders is 5 to 7 minutes away.
2 or 3.
When the
I live 2 miles out of town.
Still got
Just
across the
depends.
tracks. Still got across the
I still gotta cross the tracks and I can.
Crawl under the train.
Kenny, you should have known that was coming up.
He did.
Their big response to anything that I've heard is, well, it's always been this way, we've always had that. Why would we give it to you? You know, Scotland County's always covered that area. A lot of the folks that we went to go see, we asked them, you know, they supported that, but they weren't paid members of Gorin. They had no idea they could be paid members of Gorin. I had several people offer to write me a check right there on the spot. Said, thank you, but until we get things figured out, we're not gonna. So, I don't know if that's our fault for not broadcasting or advertising better that we can do it. And again, it's not the money, it's, we wanna help the people. And they can't, I'm not gonna say they can't, but they don't comprehend that.
But would one of those folks change their mind and change their position if all of a sudden they bought a house across from Charles Stevenson? Then all of a sudden, would they understand how important it is to have a fire department in your backyard?
Well, I would hope so, but
Well, just prime example, another board member's shop burned here 4 years ago. Somewhere around there. Who do you think he called after he called the sheriff's department?
Started calling you guys.
He called me personally on my cell phone, woke me up out of a deep sleep, and told me his shop's on fire and asked us to come. Guess
They had
what?
faith in you.
With that letter, it's not happening no more. The other thing is, we had another board member's wife asked me, who lives along Ridge Road, if she could pay a membership to us. I said, no. I said, that's just not right. I said, yes, we'll come help you, but for you to pay us a membership, I don't feel, morally, I can't feel right doing that.
that's the thing with the boundaries that we requested, we sat down and mapped equal distance. We're not fighting fire in the city of Memphis. We don't even go west past the Catherine's place, do we? Because
A little
that's,
bit, we do a little bit the way we presented the boundary lines that we want to propose,
right.
is we would go a little west of the catfish place.
So we're at equal distance. We're not getting way out of where we can't help the people any quicker than Memphis can. But allow us to do what we can do. And
So how big are the districts for Gorin, Rutledge, and Memphis, Scotland? So basically, they can come down to the Rowdy. Rowdy is the line to the north. I think we go to the county on Clark County. West, we go County Road 451. And then south, we go to the Rainbow Bottom. No, is that the first house past, first road past your house? Am I right? So maybe 3 miles out of town, 4 miles out of town?
Well, I've got,
They'll got their hands full, okay.
Right there, saying
The wording
I've been
in the
making sure not to put your nose in.
Is the wording stated that one is not across the other.
Yes, sir, Missouri law states that.
The Missouri law states that you're not to cross that boundary line.
So they have, but Scotland County, I mean, the boundaries are set and that they're legal. But Scotland County has the option of receding those lines.
Dave,
Sir,
we are allowed to go across in mutual aid.
in mutual, yes, sir, yes, sir.
If they ask us to
But
come.
they have to ask.
They have to ask.
What about us, instead of, you know, say the people from Scotland County area that's not, if they call the Gorin Fire Department instead of Memphis?
If they're inside that district, we're not allowed to go without.
Memphis calling you? Okay.
They have to be dispatched to go there.
Yeah.
Last time
No.
we had
Even if it's
individual
dispatched, we can't unless we know that Memphis requested us.
It used to be, yeah, because we were dispatched to a structure fire in Granger, and that poor dispatcher got yelled at for it. So
This green light.
How were they gonna put fire out in Granger? That's one where you guys got over.
in Granger, yeah.
I don't know, but, you know, somebody's still a fireman driving 100 miles an hour if you recall.
Well, isn't there laws that says that they're not to exceed so fast on a public highway anyway?
I believe, I don't know what that is, but that'd be a kind of question, but.
That white, I don't know after that.
Yeah, you're gonna.
So if you respond in our
Say-
district, and maybe these are, you ask them to come and help you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mutual aid.
And
But like one of the last time they asked us, I don't know if they ever did. There's been times that like the landowner called us, I think one of us there too.
They call you on.
Chief, was it Blackie Cowell's house?
The Blackie Cow fire, I was on the ambulance that day, and so we went out as a standby. I overheard one of their firefighters say, hey, we need to get Gorin coming. So I took it upon myself, which I probably shouldn't have. But I took it upon myself to call our department. And, yeah, I got some heat for that. What happened there was, which really don't make any difference, but right before we got there, they got paged for a camper fire in town, and they sent our main pumper to that camper fire. We got done there, we came back to the Blackie Cow fire, had everything kind of set up, and they told us we could go home. It's not what's safe anymore. Other than that, we got pulling our reports, and that's the last one that I can remember.
You folks have a recommendation for leaving the meeting tonight? We'd like to reply to the letter with this, and this. We sort of all know what the dilemma is right now, and you're caught in it, but you guys have talked about it for at least a month, so.
The options out there, I believe, to maybe for us to get an attorney and see what our options are at least on the legal side of it.
And that
Yeah,
might
and what you
stop it.
told me about the line and you're not to cross it, you're right. You'd have to find an attorney and find out what you can and can't do. That common sense is thrown out, isn't it?
And morality is.
You
too.
said it.
And yes, it is. And morality is. Sounds like in the future that that area will be a bit vindictive against this area.
They always have been.
We always have been.
Sounds like it'll be worse. The mutual aid thing will be the lost cause for that girl. They already died. Heart attack. That.
But
go into a structure fire, and I've done it myself personally, and you go into that house, you put your air pack on that your tax dollars provided for us, and we still make entry into the house. Nobody's in there, but we're firefighters, we fight fire. And you find that family is viable, and you bring it out of that house and hand it to them, that makes you feel like you've done your job. Or some family memento, a picture,
Sure.
something,
Or a cat.
or a cat. Been fighting fire for over 30 years, started in New York State, and I've never heard of such a thing as this. Firefighters are firefighters, that's what we do. And now we can't do it. Because somebody's mad at us. Can't wrap my head around it.
I understand.
Alright, that goes back to like you said, Kenny, you take how many gallons of water to a fire compared to their trucks. Wouldn't people rather have the water there on hand to be able to put these fires out? In Scotland County don't even care about that?
But I'm not even sure at this point what voice the people have.
And so many people aren't aware.
Are
You're
any
exactly right.
Gorin residents on the Scotland County board? How are they elected that we can get someone from Gorin to be actually on the Scotland County board because Gorin's in Scotland County?
Because we have our own district.
No, I'm gonna think that. And that's what they do on this.
You're not volunteering?
No. Well, they already, they have 13 boards.
Did?
What?
How many?
13. And I don't know how they determined and how they managed to get 13, but that's how many they have. Huh? No, that's the rule. Yeah, no, that's the rule. That's Scotland County Fire Board, yes.
I built my house in 06. I sold my house here in Bolton. Prior to that, I was president of the fire board. Mike Perry was my fire chief, and everything worked like clockwork. We never had a bit of issue with Memphis or anybody else. So that's a lifetime ago now. We never had a bit of trouble with nothing.
When territory and money is involved, people change. So, since we don't know what their motive is, other than assumptions.
The 911 board system proposition G, that's what kind of started the whole thing of having to have the boundaries, correct? Is that what sparked us to do it?
Well, it sounds like everybody agrees we should get involved there. Anybody have suggestions on a good one, or just give anybody you are recommending? Yeah.
The only one that I know of is the one from Kansas City. He was a former fire chief out of that area, and I know he did his law degree and he's practicing law now. It may happen too, once you get a lawyer, that they will drop the whole thing, but that's not what they want to hear.
Sometimes you get something on letterhead, it does spook them enough. So it might be $1,000 letterhead, but at the end of the day, it might work.
I did put in a call to the fire marshal's office to request a list of attorneys that they would recommend. The guy that I was getting a hold of was out of the office for the today, so we wasn't able to get that to me.
How many more days do you have to respond?
We received this letter Friday afternoon.
Friday night, 11:45.
And they gave you 10 business days, so you got a couple of
It
weeks.
doesn't say business, but it says 10 days.
They said it's certified.
FedEx and by the sheriff.
Neighbors, some neighbors.
Yes.
Well, I feel like we need to send a letter on letterhead, because if we cave on this, what little corner out of that whole map we're gonna have, eventually we'll have nothing. We'll have no coverage, we'll have loss of life and property.
And now they just take the stuff from here.
I don't think we're gonna let that happen.
I don't think there's any way possible for them to take any of our equipment unless they do it through the court. To where they, basically demand enough money that they shut us down.
Like they did in school,
I don't know what happened there.
they ran out of kids. But we had money. We could continue to run.
And I think they really just put you in a hole, and you were sharing information the public already should have had, that they had the right to choose. And people don't like it when you share information publicly. And this is them telling you to be quiet.
Oh, and how deep is
And-
this? How deep does this go and how big? Does it go back to our commissioners? Does it go back to our town?
Well,
Oh.
I mean, when they filed their lines, the commissioners didn't tell us anything.
Oh.
So when we went to file our lines, the commissioners obviously talked to them.
Welcome to the you're in Gorin, they don't like us.
As far as the commissioners having any authority saying where these lines need to be, the fire marshal was very clear about that. They do not have any.
But he encouraged us to figure it out amongst ourselves. So, I mean, I feel like that's that common sense factor. Hopefully that fire marshal would look at this big map and see this little tiny corner they've given us, and then folks that are just barely out of reach are gonna suffer.
That's the other bad thing is the fire marshal doesn't have any authority to do it.
So who has the authority to change the boundaries?
So two boards.
I think the judge can.
Well, a judge could. A judge could.
Again, common sense.
I talked with the Green Top Fire Department Fire Chief, and I don't know if any of you are aware, but they battled this between Adair County and them. Green Top sits right on the line. And Adair County wanted to come up to the county line. And they thought they should have it because they're closer, like us. They took it to court. They battled it out. He wasn't sure. He actually wasn't the fire chief at that time. He thought it was approximately 5 years. Battling it out. One of the things was the board hired a lawyer, and they were partway through this process, and the board got tired of paying him so much and found a cheaper lawyer. So, the second lawyer had to start over pretty much from scratch. And they lost ground.
How did it get settled?
It got settled in Green Top's favor. He said they didn't get everything they wanted, but they got a large percentage. And he said it was based off of mileage. Pretty close.
So do you know if Rutledge is under this deal too, or?
They are having close to the same issue.
They are negotiating with
Yeah.
Scotland County, just like we are. But they didn't go out and get signatures. So
Right.
they didn't get this land.
So they didn't get their hands slapped like we did.
Right. So,
But really, people should be able to have a voice and be able to voice their opinion to Scotland County's fire district. And what are they gonna do to me? I guess they could do something.
You could have done it, but the problem is the fire department did it.
The other thing is, the people up in that area have the option, privilege to start a true petition and present that petition to Scotland County Board. They have to consider it. The law doesn't say they have to change it.
So all those folks that were in this little area that we're talking about, those folks could put a petition together and go to Scotland County Fire Department. Do we have a list of the board members for Scotland County? Or does somebody wanna rattle off a few names
I
right now?
know a few of them, but I don't know all of them.
I know one of them lives on the line where Rutledge wants it, so they would be in Rutledge's new district, and that's the issue they're having.
And in their meeting, they kinda come to agreement, but not what's happened since then, so do they have an agreement or don't they?
Scary chair.
Those folks up there are gonna suffer, they won't. I feel they'll suffer, maybe they don't, I don't know, but we'll have up the Route E, county line, out this way, into the Rainbow Bottom, and that's it.
When somebody has a trailer fire with no water near, they'll probably have some deaths.
From that
So-
little information that you had gotten from the people up there, I think you really do know what they would prefer
Well,
when it comes right down to it. So it sounds as though maybe they need to have a.
that would be Katie. That would be the house fire that was across from Ronnie Boyer's a few years ago. That would be
To present it to Scotland
Judy,
County.
who's drowning a few years ago.
And that
They would have never got there.
add weight to what you're doing, if they would also do that. If someone that lives in that area, maybe could, talk to people, find someone. But if that petition was started and presented, this was put with a lawyer, and they got a letter, and they got a petition from someone they might not remember, then they would have to think twice about taking it further. They might take it further, but they would have to think that the chances of losing would be far greater, because it would show that the people there want this common sense. Fact finding. What is soliciting?
No, we're asking for help.
We weren't asking for membership, we were just trying to find out.
And that's what the attorney that you hired will state, that there was no solicitation. Solicitation requires whatever legal terms it is. And these volunteers at the fire department weren't doing that, blah, blah, blah.
And it says it right on top of the paper, I think you read that, didn't you? What the top of those forms say, that we're not coercing people and bribing them.
Just having the letterhead with the attorney and the legal wording, they stopped that one because they paid that attorney, and attorneys like to say whatever they want to say to their clients, but there is a right and a wrong attorney.
With the new set boundary lines, will it make it so people can't pay fire dues to more than one fire department? Like Mark said, he pays dues here and Wyconda, And I know several other people that pay to 2 or 3 fire departments just to have better coverage.
They can, by the state, what the law states is, they can only pay a membership to one department. They can make a donation to another department if they want to. But that second department cannot send them any kind of bill or membership fee or anything like that.
Okay, so
It is totally up to the homeowner. If they wanna make a donation to somebody else.
That doesn't buy them coverage from us, it's just a donation.
Yep.
and so then you can't respond unless you're asked.
We cannot respond unless we are asked. Or if we have a mutual aid agreement.
So anybody that you might have paid you a donation that's now in Scotland County, you can't respond. Well, common sense will not be tolerated.
That's not gonna do any good unless they ask for us, unless we can get an automatic mutual aid agreement, which means they don't have to ask for us, we automatically go.
The dispatcher knows that they pay Scotland out first and Gorin second.
They should overlap. There shouldn't be a line. There should be an overlap.
Well, I sure see the Gorin truck come out of
There should be a line, but then there should be another line on each side of that.
To
where they
overlap.
both go.
Yes, to overlap.
You're not in the sense. So you got a petition for everybody that's in the area that needs mutual aid, just go find a thing and say we need mutual aid, and then it's a homeowner's requesting mutual aid.
You have to be careful. How did you word it? A written mutual aid, not just where they ask for help.
A
But
written
it's
automatic mutual aid.
there, that's the word.
That's the only way we can manage their area without them.
Well, that should be automatic from my perspective, and I just have them to do. I would support that.
You pay a membership.
If I did a donation, then I could say,
Donation.
yes, you guys request the mutual aid, if I had that.
Yeah. I mean, we've done it multiple times.
I think it's funny, Scotland County never sent my check back to me, actually, this one. Because I do both, I was cutting a check to Gorin and one to Scotland, just so, to support both groups. Or if there was ever a question about having enough manpower or water, that I knew that I paid for those services. I guess, I don't know, I just dropped my check in that little box when I go to the courthouse.
The way I understand it, they don't send out membership bills, membership fees. You have to remember. And if you don't remember,
They may or may not. Or do they just not?
they put notices out. But it's not, you get notice in your mailbox.
I don't know, I guess I'd be interested in going to their meeting and asking them if they had a house right there on the line that was clearly closer to Gorin, is that the right thing to do? And if they say that's the right thing to do, then we're just battling people, and I don't know what else we can do with that.
They do send out reminders. If you're not paid by a certain date, and I don't know what that date is,
Well, I didn't catch that one.
well, I don't know
It's
that they
posted
ever
around.
said that, I just know that. Because
I think it's posted like at the bank in some places, but I never paid any attention to it. I don't have any interest in their fire department.
I think theirs might be due January 1st. I'm not sure about that. But then if they're not paid by such and such a date, they are. everybody's general consensus that we obtain an attorney and go at it that way?
Be my guess is that's the best way to do it.
I'd say that's probably what you're gonna have to do.
Yeah, but,
That should be up to the board to decide.
well, we will, but we'd like to have the public opinion.
Well, that's basically calling them bluff. Getting an attorney and responding.
Well, and we need to know what our rights
Right.
are.
Because they're thinking that they can carry you around like they always have.
Well,
And the city's kind of made enough noise to.
Nice from St. Louis. They've got several different, offices. We've got one in St. Louis, we've got one in Kansas City, they've got one, I think it's farther south. I think we've got like 5 offices.
let's go back.
Maureen wants to do this again.
Yeah, just general consensus. Does everybody think we should hire, or the board should hire an attorney and go at it that way?
Yeah.
Just show your hand. I'm not writing down who, what, when, or where, just general
just me.
consensus. All right. That's what we need to know. I can see way back in the back.
What you said about green topic, it sounds like you have a very good chance of may take 5 years, is what it's at. But it may not, if you get the right.
That's why he said when I talked to him, like, I think we have a very good case.
Absolutely. Especially in the part where they talk about. That's. And it isn't just your house.
I haven't read it for a while, but I think it's 10 over.
Yeah,
10 over and something about not putting the public in harm's way.
So 100 on 136 might be against that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So if you bring that up in court, that they're claiming that they can run that fast, what's the court gonna say about it?
They're gonna ask me to show proof of that.
Well, Echo videoed those meetings.
That's the question I don't have. Was it in our last meeting video?
Well, they're both on YouTube.
Was it the one prior to that before she was there?
Well, it's on one of them because I saw that video.
You remember watching it? And
Yeah.
you stated that
Yeah.
back?
Yeah,
I couldn't say that anymore.
yeah. It is on the YouTube video, one of them that she posted.
She should have been here tonight too.
Well,
She was gonna try and make
She-
it, but she had a Knox County Water Board meeting. That lasted too long. She wasn't gonna do
Right.
Well, there's also the issue that she's got a scanner. Sometimes they call Memphis and you hear them paging 2 or 3 times before anybody responds. Starts out being a crash fire, then pretty soon it's a structure fire.
It's been a while since that has happened.
No, that was right in town.
No, but I mean, it's been several years since that
Oh,
happened.
no.
No?
They'll call, they'll say second page.
Maybe I didn't hear it.
Sometimes you don't hear the firefighter call.
Oh, when they say this is the second page, though, that's kind of, yeah. Nobody's paying any attention, it says it's not bothered.
Meeting adjourned.